Yeah, so I'll just say again. So today's session is about eliminating any useless, unnecessary anxiety, stress, and irrational fear. And we all have it at times. And as I was saying, it seems to be a very stressful time at the moment, the way things are going, prices. If you've got teenage kids, it seems like it's a horrendous time to have kids of that age. They're lost, we're lost trying to resolve it for them. Whatever it is we're doing at the moment is so much up in the air. So there's reasons to be kind of concerned. But what I'm talking about here is the irrational fears that we have. And the truth of the matter is that there is only this moment in time we're living in. We talk about the past and we talk about the future as if they exist. And they don't. They're kind of man-made concepts. When we think about our past, it's not exactly as it was because our memory's not 100%. And even if it was, there's nothing we can do about the past. The past is a void. It's a vacuum that stretches back to the Big Bang. Even what I've just said is now in that void. So if we're worrying about the past, what we could have done, should have done, would have done, there's absolutely no point because there's nothing we can do about it. We can hopefully learn from our past, but worrying about it is of no consequence. And the future hasn't happened yet. So the future can only be imagined. So that's not real either. There is only this moment we're living in. And in this moment, it's such a small space of time. By the time I've said it, it's already passed. But it's reminding ourselves because most of the anxiety we're feeling is about things that might happen in the future. And the way our brain works, whatever we're thinking of doing, whatever we want to do, even the smallest task, our brain will run what's known as a schema for it. So if you've got a pen or a cup in front of you and I ask you to pick that up, you could do that easily. But to build a robot to do that one simple task would be immense. You need the best mechanics, best computer people, all of that stuff, just to do that one simple task. Pick up a cup with some liquid in, pour it into a hole in your face, put it back down without spilling it or breaking the cup. That would take incredible people to build a robot to do that one simple task. And yet, the moment I say, can you pick your cup up and take a sip from that cup, your brain will run a schema for it. It will figure out everything you need to do that without spilling that drink, but it will figure it out in a microsecond before you even move. And it's all done out of our conscious awareness. So some years ago, they ran this research and they put this guy in one of those HMRI scanners where you could see what was happening. Well, they wired his brain up so they could see the activity in his brain. And they gave him a simple task. And the task was to press a button in his right hand or his left hand, randomly, whenever he felt like doing it, just press that button in either hand. After 5 or 10 minutes of looking at this man's brain scan, they could predict which thumb he was going to press before he pressed it. And sometimes it was several, I think 15 seconds before he pressed his thumb. Out of his consciousness, his brain had made that decision before he moved the muscle. So when I read that piece of research, it occurred to me, I can't do anything. I can't pick up a cup. I can't meet you. I can't do this session without my brain running to the outcome. It's the way our brains work. Now, generally, because our most powerful hardwired instinct is for survival, when we're thinking about our future, we're going to go over everything that could possibly go wrong to avoid it happening. It's the way our brain works. But sometimes we get so caught up in that imagination and without realizing it, that at this point in time, it is just our imagination, that we live in that constant state of anxiety because we're thinking about everything that could possibly go wrong. For me now, I always bring myself back to this moment in time when I'm worrying. In fact, I know it sounds crazy, but I refuse to worry about anything. I refuse. I consciously refuse to worry. And I often talk about this film, a Tom Hanks film called The Bridge of Spies. And it's a great film. It's about a Russian spy who it's a true story about this Russian spy that was caught, captured in the USA. And they had to give him a lawyer, and no one wanted the job, but Tom Hanks got that job. In the film I'm talking about, he was his lawyer. And throughout the film, this guy's facing the death penalty. He's having to go back to Russia, and they might kill him in Russia. And 3 or 4 times throughout the film, the Tom Hanks character, the lawyer, asked this Russian, he said, "Are you worried about this?" And the reason I'm telling you this, because this stuck with me. This guy just said this. He said, "Will it help?" Every time he said to him, "Are you worried? Are you concerned?" he said, "Will it help?" And I think we have to remind ourselves every now and again when we're worrying about something, just ask that question, will it help? Will this worrying that I'm doing here now, is this feeling of anxiety I'm feeling now, will it help? How much of our time as human beings is spent worrying about things that never actually ever happened? How much of our brain space in your life, in your adult life, has been spent worrying about stuff that never actually happened? So what I want you to do today, and I'm going to help you do it, is to get to that point where you're bringing yourself back to this moment in time. You know, for me, I present all over the world, and for a lot of people, that's stressful. I mean, I know that Anne plays music and she loves it, but there's always that moment just before you go out on stage. Is that true, Anne? Where part of you is really excited about playing your music, but there's another part of you that has that kind of concern. Does that happen for you? Butterflies?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same physiological response, isn't it? So it's a choice. Are you going to choose to call it anxiety or excitement?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
The day I made that decision was the day that changed my life. So yeah, I love what you're saying about everything, and I wish I could do that for the rest of my life.
Well, you absolutely can, Anne. That's the thing, because you've got to think about it in the same way. Because you've got to realize before you step out on stage, whatever you're imagining about how that performance is going to go is just your imagination. And so for me, when I present, you know, in the past, and I can't remember when it would have been, you know, I might have thought, what if I trip up on the stage? What if I go red? What if I forget my words? All the things that goes through people's head when they go to present or do public speaking. It might have happened for me. I can't remember when it was. But knowing what I know now about the fact that whatever I'm thinking about is only my imagination, I have to believe that I have some control over my imagination. So when I think about performing in any way, this is especially when I'm presenting, I just think they're all going to be friendlies. They're going to love what I've got to say, and we're going to have a great time together. And that's how I approach it. Whether it's 3 months in advance, 6 months in advance, I just look forward to it. Because yes, can it go wrong? Of course it can go wrong. But I'm not going to spend the 3 months leading up to it worrying about it. But generally what happens is because that's what I'm imagining, that's what tends to happen. I was in Las Vegas at Hypno Thoughts Live, which is the biggest conference for hypnosis in the world. I think it's 1,000 people at this conference. And I was presenting. And it was the first time I'd been there. And they mic'd me up. They had a PAL mic. Anyway, this room was absolutely jammed. And people at the back said, "We can't hear you, can't hear you." So they brought out a handheld mic. And I've never really used a handheld mic. And if you don't use one, it's kind of awkward. You don't know how to hold it. And I don't even know what made me do it. But as soon as I got on the mic, I just went, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. I thought I just said, you know, we're in Las Vegas. And the crowd kind of fell about. And then we got on with it. But it's just, you know, you can panic and you can worry about stuff, or you can just make a bit of fun. Either way, you know, it's gonna be the same. And so what I'm saying to you today, we're going to get you so you're right in this moment we're living in. And so often we don't live in this moment. We're either living in the past or we're living in the future. And we miss this time. And some of you might have done that with your kids. You know, you're so busy worrying about where they're going to be and how they're going to be and everything else. You look back and I can't even remember my child at 10 or 12 because you've been so busy thinking about the future and planning for the future. Every now and again, we just have to stop. And it's not, you have to do it consciously because you're not going to do it otherwise. Stop and just be in this moment and just look at things in a different way. And especially when it comes to our anxiety and our stress. So as human beings, we have this part of our brain, and I know some of you are medical people here, I know. So I probably, it sounds like this is my layman's explanation of how the brain works, which isn't very good. So there's a part of our brain, it's called the amygdala, and every creature with a vertebrae has that area of the brain. In a human being, it's about the size of an almond. But every creature with a vertebrae has that part of the brain, the amygdala. So if you like, it's one of the most primitive parts of us as a human being. And every piece of information that comes in through our senses, from our hearing, our sight, our taste, the smell, everything passes through that area of the brain before it reaches the frontal lobe, where we make a decision about what's happening. You know, you're walking down a road at night and you hear a rustle in the bush, and all of a sudden, you know, you get that adrenaline's flooding your body, and you get that feeling. And then you look around and you see it's a dustbin bag flapping in a bush. But your instinct is your brain will suddenly flood your body with that adrenaline in case you need to run away or fight or whatever it is. So, as I said, every piece of information comes through that area of our brain. Now, I like to think of it as the gatekeeper. Everything that's ever hurt you, emotionally or physically, is stored in that part of your brain. And it's constantly pattern matching. It's continuous from the moment you're born to the moment you draw your last breath. That part of your brain's working. And so that's why if someone has a fear of spiders and they throw a tomato stalk at them, it's a close enough match for a moment to give them that kind of adrenaline rush. But then they'll realize it's a tomato stalk and they'll go, and they'll calm down. But it's a close enough thing. So, you know, as a child, if you touch something that's hot, you don't have to do that 5 times to realize that hurt. The moment you touch that object and you feel the pain, the amygdala fires off, it takes a snapshot of that object, and for the rest of your life, it's scanning the environment for anything that looks like that so you don't get burnt again. It's like a one-stop learning. And that is the explanation as well for why people have such strange phobias. You know, during my work as a hypnotherapist, I've seen people for feather phobias, button phobias, balloon phobias. I had one trainee we had when we were running some training in Las Vegas, maybe 10 years ago now. He has a phobia of belly buttons. And like everyone here smiling, we smiled. This guy was crying. He couldn't see his partner without her clothes on. He couldn't even look at his own belly button. I know it sounds strange, but for him, it was really frightening. And people say, well, how could you develop a fear of feathers or buttons or balloons or clowns or all the other things that we think are irrational, which are irrational? This is how it works. This is a Freddy theory of why we can develop an irrational fear like that. Let's say a dog jumps up and bites you and you feel the pain, but as you feel the pain, you knock some milk over. You're looking at the milk as you feel that pain, the amygdala is firing off, and it takes a snapshot of that scene. And so although you forget about the fact that you knocked some milk over, the chances are your brain connects those two things together. And then for the rest of your life, whenever you see spilt milk, you'll feel anxious and you will never know why. You know, some of you, as I said, a lot of you here are medical people. And one of the things that puzzle the medical world is chronic fatigue. It's one thing they have no answer for. They give people depression pills, they give them all kind of medication, but I have no idea why people suffer from chronic fatigue. Over the years, I've seen many people help them with chronic fatigue. And the one common denominator with everyone I speak to, and if you're a doctor or a physician and you see someone with chronic fatigue, I would like you to ask the question: have you ever had a viral illness at the same time as having the trauma? So let's say you see a lot of kids that develop it because they're going through their exams and they have glandular fever, and then they get chronic fatigue. Now, this is my explanation, talking about the amygdala and how it works. We feel pain, we feel the trauma, and then the amygdala fires off, takes a snapshot of that whatever it might be. Well, everyone I know that chronic fatigue has these two things together. They've gone through a trauma. It might be a divorce, it might be exams, it might be whatever, but a big enough trauma at the same time as being ill. And so what happens then is, in the same way as once the amygdala has laid down this pattern and someone has been bitten by a dog, every time they see a dog, the amygdala fires off and it floods their body with adrenaline so they can run or fight. The same thing happens for someone who's got chronic fatigue. Like if you or I feel ill, feeling a bit down, got a cold or a flu, whatever it might be, we think I'm going to feel rough for maybe 4 or 5 days, and then I'll get over it. But for someone who's chronic fatigue, who's had those two things connected, they start to feel ill and immediately start to feel anxious because those two things are connected. Their body is then flooded with adrenaline because they've got this fear response. Their body's flooded with adrenaline. Now, adrenaline can't stay in your body for long. And if you ever performed or if you ever done any sport, you can be in the zone and your body is doing incredible things. But the moment that performance is over, you kind of go flat because the adrenaline is dumped from your body. And so what happens with people with chronic fatigue is this: they start to feel ill. I think I'm going to be ill. Up comes the anxiety response. The body's flooded with adrenaline. That stays for a while. And when it dissipates, they feel tired, because you do. You feel tired. You're feeling tired and you think, I'm going to be ill. Up comes the fear response. And it's this continual circle of feeling tired, feeling ill, feeling anxious. And I've seen people who had chronic fatigue for 30 years. And it's the same thing with no explanation. I had one client who went to America. She had all of her blood changed, cost her an absolute fortune, because she thought that was what's going to happen. She had they completely changed all of her blood in her body out and new blood in. And it cost her thousands and thousands of pounds. It didn't solve the problem because it's not just a physical problem. So if you ever see anyone like that, ask that question. Have you ever had a viral illness at the same time as having a trauma? And I promise you, the chances are they will have done. But we can overcome that in exactly the same way as we can overcome any other phobia. As human beings, we have this incredible ability to learn things that are complex and then allow them to become something we do automatically. Driving or walking or talking or reading or playing the flute. Is it the flute you play, Anne? Isn't it? Playing the flute like Anne plays. I played a guitar, and I could sit here and talk about anxiety and stress and play you a tune at the same time. Once we've learned something to the point where it becomes an automatic function, an automatic response, we no longer have conscious control over it. I've seen people who smoke 30 cigarettes a day for 30 years. I say it's an incredible feat. Trying to remember to do something 30 times a day, every single day for 30 years without fail. It's an incredible feat. You couldn't do that consciously. At some point, they've gone, this is really important to me. Remind me to have 30 cigarettes a day. And once it becomes an automatic function, they no longer have conscious control over it. They can put their mind on it and stop for a few days, but sooner or later, the moment they get distracted, that response kicks back in. It's like Anne. I keep picking on Anne today because she's sitting there and I can see her. But it's like Anne. It doesn't matter if Anne plays the flute for another 20 years. She will always be able to play the flute. If you've ridden a bike when you were a child and you haven't ridden a bike for 20 years, you get on a bike, still got to ride one. If you haven't swum for 10 years, yet you swam when you were a kid, you fall in the water, you better swim. Once the program is set, it runs forever. And it's the same with our fears and anxieties. You know, there are two ways of developing an anxiety or a fear. One is a one-stop learning. A dog jumps up and bites you, you feel the pain, click, click. From now on, you know, in that instant that your brain's trained to be aware of it. The other way of doing it is that you live with somebody who's anxious. If you have a mother that's afraid of wasps, and every time there is a wasp or a bee around, your mother's flapping around. You're a child and you're looking at your mum. You haven't been stung by a wasp or a bee, but you see your mum flapping around and you look at that little creature and you go, that must be dangerous. And then you imagine it hurting you. You haven't been stung by a bee, but you can imagine it. And then that imagination becomes automatic. I see a wasp or a bee and I feel anxious. You still haven't been stung by a bee, but you've seen someone who is afraid of one. And then after that, the next step is that you forget. You only ever imagined it. And if we're imagining something and then we forget we're imagining it, to our senses, to our body and our mind, it feels real. It's like when we're watching a film. We kind of suspend our imagination for a while and we're right in it. You know, I cried twice in A Star Is Born. You know, that's how you know, it's like, because you forget. You're sitting in a cinema and there are only actors. You get into the whole thing. And once we forget we're imagining, then it seems real to us. So these are the two ways we can learn to be anxious or stressed: living with someone who's anxious and stressed, or having a one-stop learning. And then it's set as a program. Either way, once it's learned, it's very difficult to overcome consciously. It would be, you know, when I say I have people come to see me and they say, my doctor says I've got to quit smoking. It's killing me. I say, okay, well, it's like saying to your doctor, okay, doctor, I want you to forget how to walk. I go, that's ridiculous. It's no longer something I think about, something I do. It would be almost as impossible. It's nothing to do with any kind of addiction. It's a piece of programming. And once it's learned, it's very difficult to change consciously. And that's what I think, where I think hypnosis gives us an edge over most of the talking therapies. Because I believe, because I've seen it enough times, that hypnosis gives the operator access to that underlying programming. And then the client, not the operator, the client then can change that piece of programming. And that's the joy of what we can do. And it's the same with irrational fears and anxieties. Your unconscious part of your being, your instinctive, intuitive part of who you are, is always going to be uppermost for your survival. So it's not going to let you let go of anything that could ultimately be dangerous for you. But what it will do, it will look at your anxieties and stresses and your irrational fears, and it will then make a clear judgment on what is useless and unnecessary within that. It's like it's okay being completely fearless of spiders if you're living in England. But if, like me, you've traveled to America and Australia and Africa and India, there are things that can hurt you. In fact, I actually sat, believe it or not, on a black widow spider in Florida. And it was by the pool, so I didn't have a lot of clothes on. And I was in hospital for 4 days. So it's okay to be fearless here in England without spiders, but if you're traveling, you need to have a natural awareness, a natural concern. It doesn't mean you have to be petrified to the point where you don't travel, or you see a spider and you're frightened, but to just be able to say, okay, that's over there and I'm over here. That's the difference between what I'm talking about, an irrational fear and a natural concern. You know, when people see me for fear of swimming or fear of drowning, I actually did a degree course at I won't name the university, but I did a degree course in psychotherapy and clinical hypnosis. And one of the instructors there, and I'd been doing this, I only wanted to go to get the piece of paper, to be honest with you. I've been doing this for 30 years already when I went there. But the guy who was doing the instruction, he said, well, I'm going to teach you hypno-desensitization. This kind of flooding technique. It's a very, very painful and useless way to work. But so he said to this, anyone's got a fear. This woman said, yes, I've got a fear of deep water. So he said, okay, come up on a scale of 1 to 100. You know, he said, now you're standing by the edge of the sea. How scared are you? Oh, not scared. Now you're in at your knees. How scared are you? Not scared. Up to your chest, it's a 50. And then he said, so I said to him, as he started doing this work, I said, do you not need to ask this person something? He said, I don't think so. I said, before you take away this fear of swimming in deep water, do you need to ask her any questions? He said, I don't think I do. I said, surely you need to know she's a competent swimmer before you take away the fear of swimming in deep water. Oh, he said, I suppose I should have done. You know, it's you've got, you know, it's a natural concern that you should have in certain situations, but you don't need the irrational fear. So that's what we're going to do today. If you like, when we create one of these fears, the moment that you feel that pain, it's as if in that moment you create a part of you that's now running that protective mechanism. So you don't have to think about it anymore. And it's not going to give that job up. You know, in that moment, you wouldn't say it consciously, but go, remind me, I never want to feel like this again. Some people have fear of public speaking. If you've ever been a child and you had to sing at the front of the choir like I was, because I was short, I was always at the front. You know, that feeling sometimes sticks with you forever, especially if you can't sing, as I couldn't. But, you know, these things stick with us forever, but you can overcome them, because in that moment you go, remind me, I never want to feel like this again. And in that moment, you create that part of you that's now running that protective mechanism. So as strange as it may seem, when we do this work in a while, I will speak directly to that part of you that runs that protective mechanism. I will ask it to explain what it's doing for you. And it's pretty obvious. It's trying to keep you safe and well, because that's its job. But then I'm going to ask it to go to your creative minds. Part of you that dreams, has ideas, makes plans, and allow your creative mind to run and flow and work, come up with lots of new choices, other ways of keeping you safe, well, and protected, but at the same time allowing you complete and utter freedom from any irrational fear and anxiety and stress you have. Allow you the natural concerns that everyone should have so we can be safe, but allow you the freedom from every irrational fear and anxiety. Providing your creative mind come up with new choices. I've never known anyone who can't. I'm going to ask that part that runs that protective mechanism to take one of those new choices, integrate into your body and mind at a molecular, cellular, neurological level. And when that happens, I promise you, you'll be unable to experience that fear and anxiety. So there are two things that I symptom scale. One is fear and one is pain. And the reason I symptom scale those two things is because we can remember being in pain. But once the pain's gone, it's really hard to remember what it felt like. I always say that's why women have more than one child. If they can remember what the first one was like, they go, no, I'm stopping here. You can remember it was painful, but you can't remember what the pain felt like. It's the same with fear. Once the fear's gone, it's almost impossible to remember what that fear felt like. I can remember being afraid of that, but I can't feel it now. So I'm going to ask you all to do this. If you're suffering from any anxiety or stress about anything or any irrational fears, I want you knowing that you're safe. Sorry, switch that off. I didn't realise my phone was on. I apologise. 1 second. If you have any, I want you to know that you're safe in your place. I want you to just get a moment. You can do it eyes open, eyes closed, but feel into that thing that's making you anxious. Feel into that thing that you're afraid of, that you want to be free of. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to really get into it, feel into it. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being horrendous and 0 being no fear at all, I want you to put that number in the chat. Just put that number in the chat. Okay, there's lots of 7 and 8s. You know, so in a moment, you won't be able to feel it, all right? Did you let everyone in, Charles? Is there anyone else that wants to come in? You tried to let them in, did you?
I've done my best, yes. The system is a bit odd, but everybody that wanted to come in has come in. Yeah.
All right, great.
I've been through it several times.
All right, okay. Great. So now I've got those numbers in there, because in a moment you won't be able to feel that at all, right? So what I'd like you to do when you're ready to do this, because it's the last time you're going to feel this fear. I'm really sorry about that. It's the last time you're going to feel this, right? So what I want you to do is this. Get yourself comfortable. Make sure you're safe. So you're not sitting with a boiling hot cup of coffee in your lap, or you're sitting on a window ledge with a window open, anything like that, because I don't want you suddenly disappearing out of the screen, right? Get yourself comfortable. And when you're ready to make these changes, what I'd like you to do is this. Just take a breath in, hold it for a moment. And as you breathe out, allow your eyes to close, but only as quickly as you're ready to free yourself from every ounce of anxiety and stress and every irrational fear that's ever held you back. I'd like you for a moment just to focus on those tiny muscles around your eyes and allow your eyes to relax. Get a sense of that happening as you listen to my voice. Get a sense of those muscles relaxing so completely they just won't work for a while. Imagine that's happening with every breath you take. Like you're having your temples massaged. And those muscles are relaxing so completely they just won't work. And just for a moment, I want you to think about the people you love, people that love you. See those faces, see those smiles, feel that love. I know for a lot of you, you're people, you help people. I want you for a moment to allow yourself to think about the people that you've helped in your life with your words, your kindness, your skills, your knowledge. People who are living their life now free because of you. Just for a moment, allow yourself to think about that. Feel into that feeling of love right now. And as you do that, your eyes have relaxed so completely now, they just won't work. And when you realize your eyes are so relaxed, they just won't work, you can test them and find it completely locked. That's right. Imagine there's nothing you can do about that for a while. And in a moment, I'm going to snap my fingers and say the word now. And that feeling of relaxation around your eyes is going to flood down through your body like a bliss anesthesia. But no matter how relaxed your body and mind become, the chair will support you. So get ready as you hear that sound. So I click my fingers and you hear the word now. That feeling's going to go right down through your body. Get ready. Now. Every muscle, nerve and fiber relaxing. Nothing bothers or affects you. Nothing disturbs you. Just for a while, nobody wants anything. No one expects anything. And there is nothing for you to do but to listen to my voice. Every word I say doubles that feeling. Get a sense of just dropping down through space and time, down toward a place of total bliss. And in a moment, I'm going to count down from 10. And with every number down, your body will go into a state of total bliss, total relaxation, like an anesthetic. But at the same time as counting down from 10, I'm going to count up from 1. And with every number up, your mind becomes stronger and clearer and more focused on how you want to be, how you want to live, what you want to achieve. And at some point as I'm counting, your mind will separate from your body completely. And it will be the most incredible experience of liberation and freedom. Every number down, your body enters a state of bliss. Every number up, your mind becomes stronger and clearer. 10. Body relaxing, every muscle, nerve and fiber. Get a sense of that happening automatically. 1, the mind is clearer and stronger than it's ever been before. 9, the body just drops down into that space of bliss. That's right, deeper, deeper, deeper down. Imagine it's happening automatically. There's nothing you can do about that. 2, every negative thought that was ever placed on you, that's ever held you back, is being washed through your mind by clear spring water. Get a sense of that just flooding through your mind and washing away every block that's ever held you back, that's ever got in your way. Just feel it. Get a sense of it. 8. The body goes deeper, deeper, deeper down into that feeling now. Just dropping into that space, just you and the sound of my voice. Nothing bothers or affects you. Nothing disturbs you. 3. Every limiting belief that was ever placed on you, that has ever held you back, is being washed through your mind. Imagine it's happening. There's nothing you can do about that. 7. The body goes deeper, deeper down into that feeling. And just when you think you've reached the ultimate space of bliss and profound hypnosis, my voice, my words are going to take you 10 times deeper. 4. The mind begins to separate from the body completely. 6. Going deeper, deeper, deeper down into that feeling. Imagine nothing can stop you drifting into that space. 5. The mind, the essence of who you are, that intangible part of your being, the passenger, the observer in that physical body, separating from your body completely, drifting up through the top of your head, what's known as the crown chakra, just drifting up out of your body and leaving your body in that chair for a while. And just as you drift away, the essence of who you are, now some cultures call it the spirit, the soul, get a sense of drifting away from your body. And just for a moment, look back at that body in that chair and show it some appreciation. How incredible are you? Because your body is the most incredible creation in this known universe. Just think about your body for a moment. How incredible are you? Make a decision right now to look after that body, to take care of that body, to love that body. And know it's okay to love your body. And get a sense now of drifting further and further away, and notice that the essence of who you are is ageless. It's infinite. It has no edge. Get a sense of drifting away, right away from your body, up from that building. Get a sense of drifting so high that you can actually look back at this beautiful planet we're living on. This beautiful blue planet we live in. See it spinning through space. And notice how your perspective changes. You think about the 8 billion people that live on that planet, of which you are one unique, incredible individual, because you are. In the history of mankind, there has never been another you. You are unique. You are incredible. And notice as you think about that now, how your perspective changes. And things that had seemed overwhelming no longer have any power over you. Things that had seemed hard or difficult to overcome no longer have any power over you. And I want you to know and notice that the essence of who you are is pure light, pure joy, and pure love. That is who you are. You are love. You are loved. And you are loving. Get a sense of that now as you just drift in that space. And as I continue to count down from 5, your body continues to go into that space of bliss. Every number now doubles that feeling of relaxation and bliss. 4. Going deeper, deeper, deeper down. 3. Just dropping into that space. Imagine there's nothing you can do about that. 2. Deeper than you've ever been before. 1. Even deeper than before. 0. And now you're in that space. Just you and the sound of my voice. And the body just drifts through time and space. You have no idea where your body is in time and space. Free of all earthly ties. Drifting as a mind, drifting as the essence of who you are. And the essence of who you are is pure light, pure joy, pure love. And as you go deeper and deeper into that feeling now, my voice, my words drift with you. Become a part of your experience now, and every word I say takes you even deeper into that feeling. And everything I say now is your reality. Every suggestion I give you, your mind and body will act upon. At a molecular, cellular, neurological level, it's now your reality. Because you have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. And that unconscious mind, the back of the mind, that instinctive, intuitive part of your being, can continue to hear, to understand and respond to those things I might say without the need for you to do anything at all. It's so much easier for the conscious mind simply to relax and enjoy that letting go. That's right. Letting go even of the effort it takes to make the effort that it might take. To tell the exact position of arms, legs, or the entire body now that drifts through time and space. That wonderful free floating place of effortless relaxation and letting go. Allowing events to occur in their own time, in their own way, as you drift as a mind. And that mind drifts without boundaries, without borders, without limits. Just for a moment, allow yourself the pleasure of going out into the future, creating the life that you want, the health, the happiness, the joy that you want. See yourself there, free of every irrational fear and stress and anxiety. Notice the way you move and the way you breathe, waking up in the morning energized, going about your day with a feeling of freedom and a lightness of being. Notice the way you move and the way you breathe. Step into that body, feel into it, get a sense of what it feels like to be free of every ounce of anxiety and stress and fear. Get a sense of that now and ask the question, how much fun is it? How much fun can I make it? How important is it for me? And get a sense of that now, because now you know how good you're going to feel. Everything about your nature is inclined to making it happen. Because your nature wants you to be happy. It wants you to be well. That's what it's designed for. It wants you to thrive. And it wants you to enjoy. And now you know how good you're going to feel. Everything about your nature is inclined to making it happen. And the unconscious mind can allow those changes to occur, while the conscious mind drifts off someplace else entirely now. That's right, in your own time, in your own way, aware of events that occur along the way. As the unconscious mind utilizes that opportunity to alter your awareness and continue that learning in whatever way is the right way for you. Learning that feeling of letting go. Allowing the unconscious to assume more and more responsibility for guiding, directing awareness as you continue to learn even more than before about your abilities, your capacities to learn as you relax. As you relax and enter into the trance more and more comfortably, more and more effortlessly, more and more completely and deeply than before. And I can wonder whether you're aware that you've drifted deeply into trance. The deeper you go, the better you feel. The better you feel, the deeper you'll go. And as you drift even deeper, you can use your unconscious mind as a resource you can learn from and really have an experience, one that's satisfactory to you. All that's needed to build a good rapport with the unconscious is to have a line of communication. And sometimes the unconscious communicates by movement. And it may be that the eye reflex changes and the eyes flicker, or the head moves slightly, or a muscle twitches involuntarily. That's right, you can try and keep those eyes still when they flicker even more. It may be that the left hand moves all by itself and starts to feel lighter and lighter and starts to drift up, or the right arm drifts even higher. Only the unconscious mind knows which it will use, because the unconscious mind knows more about you than anyone else. And so as you drift deeply into hypnosis, even deeper than before, I'd like your unconscious mind to search for all the things in your life and pick one thing that has been making you anxious or stressed or afraid, something you'd love to be free of, or a way you'd love to feel, or an emotion that no longer serves you or no longer suits you. And when the unconscious mind's made that choice, I'd like it to increase those signals so that you and I understand. I don't know if the left hand, right hand, both hands that drift up as the eyes flicker and the head moves, but you'll know before I do as that movement continues. That's right, even as you become aware of certain sensations, that's right, eyes flickering, head moving, hands lighter and lighter. One thing that you'd love to be free of, or a way you'd love to feel, something that no longer serves you or suits you. And when the unconscious mind's made that choice, that's right. And as you become aware of certain sensations, as your unconscious mind searches, the mind automatically moves toward those thoughts and ideas and images that clarify most clearly for you the very things you know and do that seem to get in the way of creating the life you want. Awareness migrates toward things that need attention in the same way that animals migrate, without thinking, without trying. They just seem to know when to go, where to go, what to do to take care of themselves. An inner voice, inner awareness that moves the birds, the butterflies from place to place, makes them restless, something not right, draws their attention toward that uncomfortable feeling, sets them in motion, and they move hundreds of miles, thousands of miles, taking care of their young, taking care of themselves. No one knows how it feels to be a bird or a dolphin or a butterfly that suddenly knows the time's right for a change, suddenly knows the exact change needed. But we can relax, imagine how it might feel to gradually or suddenly recognize that feeling, that something needs to change, and it needs to change now. And to know without knowing what needs to be done, to be told without hearing by that inner voice, that inner feeling, to do this now, to have actions flow from those feelings, responding effortlessly, automatically to that inner voice, that inner feeling that tells us what to do and when and how to do it. To be born with that knowledge, to be so comfortably aware of yourself that everything becomes easier. Now I'd like your unconscious mind to hand over those signals to that part of you that is responsible for that protective mechanism. That part that runs that protective behavior that makes you aware of everything that could possibly go wrong. And when that part's taken full control of those signals, I want it to increase those signals so that you and I understand that it's taken control. That's right. As you become aware of that movement, now I'd like to ask that part to explain to you what it's been trying to do for you for all these years, why you felt that anxiety, that stress and that fear. And when you fully understand what that part has been trying to do for you, what its positive intention is, I'd like it to increase those signals so that you and I understand that you know the reason. Now I'd like to ask that part to go to your creative mind, a part of you that dreams, has ideas, makes plans, and allow that wonderful creative mind to run, flow and work, come up with lots of new choices, other ways of keeping you safe, well and protected, but at the same time allowing you complete and utter freedom from the irrational fear, anxiety and stress. Allow you the natural concerns everyone should have so you can be safe, but allow you complete and utter freedom from the irrational fear, anxiety and stress. And each time it identifies a new choice that it believes will keep you safe and well, but allow you that freedom, I want it to increase those signals. That's right, it's working brilliantly for you. 10, 20, 100 new choices. I'd like to reassure that part that runs that protective mechanism. It doesn't have to take any of the new choices. Doesn't have to give up the irrational fear and anxiety and stress. It simply has to go in and get lots of new choices for you, and it's working brilliantly. And as that part searches, once again, get a sense of yourself way, way up above this planet, drifting as a mind, the essence of who you are. See the whites of the clouds, the whites of the mountaintops, the greens of the forest, and the blue of the ocean as that beautiful planet spins slowly through space and time. How incredibly lucky are we to have landed on this planet? Now in your mind's eye, get a sense of a target, like an archery target between you and that beautiful blue planet. Get a sense of the coloured bands, the very centre, the bullseye. Now in the centre of that target is every ounce of irrational fear and anxiety and stress that you've ever felt that's ever been placed on you. In the center of that target is every ounce of that stress and anxiety and irrational fear that you were experiencing. Now, in a moment, I'm going to make this sound. As I make that sound, you'll be fired, shot like an arrow, straight through the center of that target into a space of total freedom. But I want you to be brave about this, because as you go through the target, you may experience that anxiety and stress even more intensely for a split second, a microsecond. But be brave. This is the last time you will ever experience any of that irrational fear and anxiety. Get ready. As you hear that sound, you're going to be fired, shot like an arrow, straight through that target into a space of total freedom. Get ready. And now you're in that space, just drifting in a space of total freedom. That's right. Once again, think about the people you love, people that love you. See those faces, feel that love right now. Get a sense of that feeling of love right now. I know that's who you are. You are love, and you are loved, and you are loving. And as you feel into that feeling of love, feel it now like a burning hot sun in the summer sky. Shrink it down to a white hot nuclear powered ball of light as big as a golf ball. Pull that into your heart's center. Feel your heart expanding with that feeling of love and joy. Feel it now. Feel it spreading, flooding down through your body. And I want you to notice as your body's flooded with that incredible, wonderful feeling of love, that every ounce of fear and anxiety is gone. Every irrational fear, every doubt that was ever placed on you is gone, because it cannot coexist in your body and mind with the power of that love. Get a sense of that now. The harder you try and remember what it felt like to be anxious or stressed, further away it goes. That's right. Get a sense of that now. Now I'd like to ask that part that runs that protective mechanism, pick one of the new choices, the one that it believes will keep you and the people you love safe and protected, but at the same time allowing you complete and utter freedom from every ounce of irrational fear and anxiety and stress. And when it's made that choice, I want it to increase those signals so that you understand that it's made that choice for you. That's right. As you become aware of those sensations now. And now I'd like to ask that part to take this new choice, integrate it into your body and mind at a molecular, cellular, neurological level. And when it's done it completely, that will allow you that freedom forever, I'd like it to increase those signals so that you and I understand. Good. I'd like to thank that part that runs that protective mechanism for looking after you for all these years and making those changes now. And from today, no matter how hard you try, you will never experience those irrational fears, anxiety, and stress again. And the harder you try and remember what it felt like to be anxious or stressed, the calmer, the more confident, the more fearless you become. Imagine that's happened, and there's nothing you can do about that. From today, no matter how hard you try, you will never experience that anxiety and stress again. And the harder you try and remember what it felt like, the further away it goes. I know that you'll enjoy being happily unconcerned, unable to remember to be anxious or afraid, because now you're going to enter every day knowing you're protected. That's right. I'd like to thank that part for communicating. Feel into that feeling of love once again, and know that the essence of who you are is pure light, pure joy, and pure love. That's who you are. You are love, you are loved, and you are loving. You are the most incredible creation. You're already a whole being. You don't need to be anyone else. You are everything you need to be. And go with your unconscious softness you need to know that you're free. Free of the past, free of the future, free to live in this moment and to enjoy every moment. Get a sense of that now. Imagine it's happened and there's nothing you can do about it. Go with your unconscious softness you need to know you're totally free. And only when the unconscious mind knows and has made those changes at a molecular, cellular, neurological level that will allow you that freedom forever and allows the conscious mind to accept the changes made. Because in a moment, I'm going to count to 10. Every suggestion I've given you, your mind and body will act upon. Without hesitation, it's now your reality. On 8, your eyes will open. You'll feel incredible because you are incredible. Unable to experience any of the irrational fear and anxiety. You'll feel like you've had a ton weight lifted, like you've had the blinkers removed. You will see life differently. You'll understand your real worth and value and just how incredible you are. And on 10, that feeling of freedom is going to grow stronger day by day as you create the life you want by helping people create the life they want. So get ready as I count to 10. On 8, your eyes will open. You will feel wonderful. A lightness of being, unable to experience any anxiety or stress. Imagine that's happened and there's nothing you can do about that. And on 10, that feeling of freedom is going to grow stronger day by day. 1, feeling absolutely wonderful now. 2, to create that life you want. Help others create the life they want. 3, a feeling of freedom from every negative, limiting belief that ever was placed on you. 4, feel a force of that energy and love and freedom, fearlessness, flooding your body and mind. Imagine that's happened. There's nothing you can do about that. 5, feeling incredibly alive now. 6, 7, 8, eyes opening, feeling absolutely wonderful. 9, 10. Excellent. Great. Well, I hope you enjoyed the experience. I want you to do this for me. I want to try and feel that anxiety and stress you were feeling before and find you cannot. On a scale of 1 to 10, put those notes in that chat box now. Try and feel it and find you cannot. The harder you try and remember what it felt like, the further away it goes. I want you to put those scores in that chat box now. Yeah, it's 1.5. Never seen that before. I was at 1 to 5. Okay, great. Okay. Look, that it never bothered you before. Now, people say to me, I can't feel that fear anymore. And I say it's because it was never real in the first place. If you ever start to worry again, just remind yourself that at this point in time, it's just your imagination. You can change someone's day and change someone's life in a sentence. The next time one of your friends says to you, I'm feeling a bit stressed, got this exam coming up, I've got this interview coming up, I'm feeling anxious about it, you just say to them, imagine it differently. And you can change someone's day, you can change someone's life. Once we have this understanding, we can just imagine the best outcome, because either way, it's not real in this moment. Okay, look, I hope you enjoyed today. It's been great seeing you again. Good to see you again, Anne. And I'm glad you're still playing. Good to see you all. Have a beautiful
Thank
weekend.
you, Freddie.
That's
Thank
right,
you.
my joy. Nice to see you, Diana.
Bye.
Great to see you all again. And yeah, have a beautiful weekend. And I'll see
Likewise.
you
You
again.
too. Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you, Freddie.
everyone.
Stay well.
Bye.
You have a great one too.
Thank you.